Hello and welcome back to the Board Book Geek. I'm the host. Now, because YouTube are being a bit stupid, please like, subscribe, and hit that little bell icon. I hate it when people ask that, but please, because YouTube is being annoying lately. Hello. So, first things first. Amazon Game Studios, or Amazon Games as it's now known, is a company that Amazon created to focus primarily on game development. It's interesting, they've put out a few games over the years, and it can be they've been very hit and miss. Some of them have been quite simple, others have been a bizarre amalgamation. A lot of them tend to be very online MMO based, and I'm going to give you a little bit of a preface here because I don't really play MMOs. I get bored with them. My only experience with MMOs really has been the Matrix Online, DC Universe Online, and a little bit of Star Trek Online. And I did play Lord of the Rings Online briefly, but I get bored with them. I prefer more story-driven games with a beginning and an end, and that's just my playstyle. I prefer story content, if that makes sense. I like a plot. And I'm not a great lover of online gaming, full stop. I tend to play more one-player games, only a handful I even touch online. There isn't a huge amount of word and news, and it is too early. There's been no real leaks about it. But, I mean, with the tremendous failure that Rings of Power has been, 37% of its American audience stayed on, and it's like 40-something% of worldwide audience watched to the bitter end. It seems like a really odd move when you already have Lord of the Rings online. So the information says Amazon game will be an open-world MMO adventure set in Middle-earth, and it's based specifically on the Hobbit and Lord of the Rings trilogy, not the films or other adaptations that have come to fruition over the years. It is also not connected or associated with Rings of Power. Now that's an interesting one. So I'm presuming this is a rights thing as well, because I'm sure if they had their way, they would shove as much Rings of Power crap in it as possible. It just seems like a really weird move, given the fact that the user base of Lord of the Rings Online is still big, and it seems to be a competitor to a game that's already well established with a player base. And that never ends well. When you have games in the same franchise competing with each other, people will stick to what they know. Now, this could be, and I want to say this again, this could be something amazing. This could be absolutely amazing. But I have a feeling it's just going to be a competitor in an already flooded market. I love the fact, I'm reading some comments on GameSpot, and one guy put, I can't wait to see how Amazon censor the Lord of the Rings universe for this one. Kind of lost interest in any MMO despite Lord of the Rings stuff. You know, it's like, and this is a comment that really did hit home. GameSpot, new AAA Lord of the Rings game is coming. Me, sweet, maybe it'll be cool. GameSpot is made by Amazon Games. Me, never mind. It seems... I think MMOs as a whole, they have a very dedicated user base. I know a lot of people that play them. And, like, you have this dedicated universe of people, despite some bad eggs within the Lord of the Rings online community. You know who you are. I watched a live playthrough once, and there was this guy crying about Lord of the Rings, Rings of Power, I should say. It was so funny. On the Talking Birthday thing, it was funny to watch, and he was just spamming the chat. It was so funny watching this live, and everyone was laughing at him. I know who he is as well, which is hilarious, which makes it even funnier. But the whole... I don't know. I mean, with the Gollum game... I mean, Gollum looks interesting. And I will say that. Although I will say it doesn't look like a big AA title. But, you know, it could prove us wrong. The only thing I will say about Gollum is I'm not loving the designs. They look kind of more... they look a very un-Lord of the Rings-ish, which I find fascinating. But I do have this on my to playlist. I don't know if I'll buy it on Xbox One or Switch, but one of the two, depending on when things come out. So we'll see what that's like. But I keep thinking, in an already in a game that has such a big, loving user base, Lord of the Rings Online, why is there going to be another competitor? I also find it interesting that I don't know if it's going to be a sequel or a prequel or something set during, because I think that would be quite interesting. And they could go some really fascinating directions with this, but I get the feeling it's going to be quite safe. Just going by their previous games, their online games tend to follow the same formula. So they have open world, very hack and slashy with skill trees. That tends to be their motive operandi, and lots of microtransactions. So we will see. But I feel like Amazon Gaming Studio are the wrong people to do this. Like there's a lot of great companies that make great MMOs that I think would probably be better just because of the reputation and just because Amazon Games history. We'll see how it comes out. I do wonder how they're going to do it, but at this point, what news can we bring? One thing I will add to it is, as someone who doesn't MMO, I do find the whole thing interesting. I mean, there's a great piece on gamingindustry.biz, Amazon's second attempt at making one MMO to rule them all. No, I don't want that. It seems, I don't know, it just seems a very odd move. I also find it a little bit worrying that they're working on the next Tomb Raider. They're involved in that somehow, and that's just, oh god. I mean, Tomb Raider got killed, but by that last trilogy. But, I mean, they've tried before, and when you have key players in an already big industry, do people want another game? Do people want another MMO set within Lord of the Rings, set within that universe, set within Middle-earth when it's been done? When it's done, and it's been done to... And I know I sound like a broken record here, but I'm not an MMO guy, and I found Lord of the Rings really boring. The online game. Fun to start with, but I found it boring. And I don't know. I don't know if it's necessarily needed at the moment. Maybe it's better to let the license go to more adventures. I love the Shadow of Mordor games. More the first one, despite their flaws, but they never pretended to be a canon story. They just kind of went crazy with it and did their own thing and were really open about it, which I love. But I really enjoyed those games despite a lot of flaws, and I do like the classic Lord of the Rings games that came out over the years. And more Lord of the Rings content is great, but will it be good Lord of the Rings content? Will it be the Rings of Power of MMOs? Will it just be a rinse and repeat of what Amazon Studios have done before and with previous MMO titles? There is a rumor, and I say this with as much away from as much salt as you can throw at it, like massive handful, not just a pinch, that some of the people that originally developed DC Universe Online might be involved. But again, take that with a massive handful of salt at this point, because God knows. So I'm just sitting here wondering, do we need another MMO? Can we not have a more focused one-player experience? Can we not have a brilliant story-driven game? A nice real-time strategy about the battles in Middle-earth would be cool. There's a whole list of things they could do here, and I don't know. I feel like it's just another game in an already crowded market competing with a game with a big user base that they love it. Regardless of my feelings about the game, they love Lord of the Rings Online. They're playing it. Big user base, and they're going to compete with that. So we'll see what happens. We'll go from there. And tell me what you think in the comments, as always, because I'm always fascinated to hear what you guys are thinking on this subject.